Hello once again everyone, and sorry for the delay, but then again we had a holiday, so I guess I get a bit of an excuse. And I'm going to do a little extra video because some people had some questions about some of the training methodology I've been using, and also coincidentally there have been a couple people in the class that we've kind of finished with an idea, so I'll make sure they have something they can reference back. And joining me for the first time is Court, who's repping the merch, and that's really what matters. So, these are just simple actions that build into what I call bunny trail drills. Basically, the idea is we're going to work on a couple individual pieces right quick. I'll show how those pieces could be drilled more intensely in isolation, and then I'll talk about how you can chain them together in a couple little pathways. In this case, we're doing this mostly with factual level gear in mind, which is easiest for people to just throw on the train. We are using steels, but that doesn't necessarily matter. However, I will also talk about a couple full body options, but really nothing more than what Cord is already wearing is what we're actually going to target. So with that in mind, the first thing we're going to work on is just preparing in an ox or a fenestra or any sort of basic head cover. The way this is going to work is we're both starting off left foot forward. Now, you can do the initial attack in a couple different ways. In this case, I'm going to have Court just pass forward when he attacks at me with a cut, but we'll get there in a second. You could also, if you were working more on the kind of back and forth aspect I'll get to, not pass forward. But basically, when he passes forward, what I'm going to do is I'm going to match his step by passing backward. Now, what this needs to be is it can't just be an absent-minded step. If I do this, I'm going to end up front-weighted and I will not be able to return a cut without also stepping. What we're looking for here is for me to go from my hips being square and closed, as it were, to opening up. So I am profiling myself and bringing myself into recession, which brings him deeper into extension, as I've talked about in another video, or the analogy I've been using quite successfully has been, ew, bug, step on it, right? So, Cord loads up to cut from his dominant side. I go ahead and I can stand in portifero, eyes and forth, whatever you want to call it, something low. He goes in with that cut at my head. I pass back at the same time, and we end up matching distance. Now, the important thing here is I'm not having to put a lot of strength into my parrying. One, because Cord isn't necessarily cutting all that hard at me, but two, I'm getting away from him at the same time. As long as he's cutting for the quadrant he should be, which he is, I don't really need much more than essentially making this shape. So let's go ahead and rewind and do that again. Again, I'm less worried about trying to reach up and parry, and you'll probably notice this. Here, go ahead and give me another cut. Where people are doing it more like that, where the hands came up first and then I tried to step back. That's not very effective and is exposing a lot of target. I'm more thinking just, when he cuts, go to ox, and life is great. So, from here, as far as returning a cut, what Court is going to do is he's just going to take his sword away. So all he does is he just, without giving me any pressure, removes it. This gives me free and clear to cross my arms where they are, keeping it tight, and then return a cut, hitting him without stepping forward. Now the reason I'm doing this is not that I don't want you stepping when you cut. If anything, I am definitely one of those sticklers. But this is an exercise in posture. My core is upright, my legs are activated. I should be able to execute this cut without having to step forward or shift my weight all that much. If you can't do that, then you have a problem with your ox. So let's load up again, and I'll do that a little more rapid-ish fire. He throws cut, I make parry, I return cut as soon as his sword is away. Now, a couple things to pay attention to for this. First, the right arm should not move. When I cross my arms, it stays tight and close to me so I don't expose a hand target, but also so that I don't cheat myself on my cut. I want this to go from tip forward to tip backward close to me, and I want to cut in a direct line. So I'm not turning this into a big swoop, and it should not be a through cut. Because I'm not stepping, that's just going to twist me up. It should be as tight and focused as possible. Point A to point B, something I will sometimes do with students is I will bend over basically between them and make them cut over my head. Because this should all happen in just this plane. No danger down here. So now, what we're going to do is I'm going to switch roles. So I'm going to cut at Court. I'm going to show how you can take this concept and turn it into an infinite drill. So what I would do is if I was working with Court here, I would throw a cut, have him hit me. Throw a cut, have him hit me. We reset, and he just gets more successes than anything else. That's really the inspiration behind all these drills, is I want him hitting me as much as possible. So that way he doesn't start thinking about this as just being a stepping stone. It's always an intent that he could hit me and end the fight with. So let's switch sides real quick. So for this, I will not pass him with my cut, and I'll show that variation, which will give me more room to do a follow-up. So now we're going to make this infinite. Infinite. English is hard, right? So to get us there, so if I want to leave some room, and I don't want to pass forward because of whatever stimulus I'm working on, all I do is I take a little step with my left foot as I throw this cut. So without court moving, that's just I extend and I take a little accrescimento. All this does is it just, I still get a perfectly good cut. We may have to start a little closer, but if he passes backward as I do that pass forward, everything actually still works out distance-wise. It's just I don't commit my right leg and thus have some issues in a second. So I'm going to throw my cut. Court is going to parry it, and then I'm going to talk about how I'm going to parry his return shot. So I throw my cut, he parries. Cool. Now, what I do, if I want to make this infinite, is I drop my sword down to give him the signal to cut, but then I also am bringing it in front of his lead leg, so that then when he throws his cut without stepping, I can bring my sword back to parry. Now this is going to be less of an ox and more of almost a fenestra, a lower sword fenestra, or a flat guard as I've been referring to them as. The whole point is just I'm only protecting the area he's going for and stopping him at the last minute. So we'll do that again all the way through. So I cut, parry. Now as soon as that's done, what I'm going to do is my hands will uncross, so I'll go around his blade, and I'm shooting at that same target without stepping forward, so all Court has to do is pull his hands back into his ox to parry. Good. Now he can do the same thing, where he goes around my blade as his hands uncross, and he fires, and then I fire, and then he fires, and then I fire. And we should be able to do this infinitely, and what we're focusing on is this isn't all arms. Our arms are supported by our posture, meaning that we get to recess and extend, and recess and extend. And the point should be, it should look very much like that over into Court's tennis, over into my tennis court, back and forth, and back and forth, and back and forth. You can see it go back and forth like that. If you can't, because people are trying to parry too early, then you're not getting the benefit of this duel. It should be extension and contraction over and again. So I'll do that one more time. So I throw cut, boom, I give him signal, boom, 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 and then I'd let him hit me at some point. And as the teacher, if I'm doing this to him, I would, again, be just feeding him cuts. He's hitting me, he's hitting me, he's hitting me, then I parry. And when I parry, his job is not to change anything. Court's whole world right now is cut incoming, defend. Cut's gone, attack. That's all he does. So if I just keep building on top of that, he still does what he's doing until he finally hits target. Then it's stopped. So that's how you can make this infinite. Now the reason I didn't pass in is that makes that a little easier. So if you're learning that, either you're new to parrying on this side or you're ending up a little bit crowded, use that footwork. But I can still do this if I pass forward. It just requires a little more of the teacher. So here is that shown briefly. I throw my cut and I do pass forward. Now when he cuts at me, I'm going to have to twist in order to affect my parry. So if you've got flexible hips, it's not that big of a problem, and you will occasionally have to make this parry. The important thing is to make sure my tip is still forward, so I'm practicing this for session, not turning it into this. If I'm here, sure, I stop his sword, but I'm not making Court extend out the same way. He should feel like he's going to hit me in the head, and then he just happens to be stopped at the last minute. But then I just fight off my lead foot for that. So I got him, he cuts at me, he got at him. It's the exact same idea, just slightly different movement. So that's our first little action. We're fighting on the left side, and he's learning how to do things. What about other sorts of responses? So let's switch that again. That's if the sword went away. If instead the sword stays, so he throws a cut, I step back and I parry, but he does not take his sword away for anything. So he throws cut, parry, sword's still there. Then I extend a thrust instead. So I'm not doing any sort of wind, and I'm not trying to do any footwork. All I need to do is from my strong ox, I just push the sword forward till I get contact. If I could not get contact without stepping forward, then I'm stepping too far back and my distance is wrong. And after I've gotten that contact, I just return back to where my parry was. So make shape, hit from shape, return from shape. The idea behind this is that this isn't any big, windy, crazy thrust. He's out into extension. He's got no lateral leverage. Just done is really all I need to do. But I need to practice that, because if it starts wibble wobbling, your accuracy goes away. This needs to be as direct a channel as possible, the same way my cut was a direct channel. And those two things put together, now you have just an implicit understanding of what that line looks like. So here's that again. Court cuts at me, up, his sword stays, Life is great. Now you can start randomizing it. So Court cuts, I step back and parry, his sword goes away, I cut. His sword stays, I stab him. His sword went away, I cut him, he parries. Then I need to parry, cut, until eventually I hit him. And if you really wanted to, you could even, he cuts at me, I cut at him, he parries, he cuts at me, I parry, he leaves his sword there, I could fire a thrust. But again, you'll do this over time. Generally speaking, I like to keep it to just those three options of hit with cut, hit with thrust, hit with multiple cuts. So all that in mind, let's go over the other side right quick, and then we'll put this into a bunny trail. So, switch sides. All right, so the other side. This one's pretty simple, no complicated footwork at all. Both of us need to be right forward. So for the attacker, you're starting off in an ox or a finestro, so you can keep practicing that cut you were just doing. So if I'm attacking a court, I would cross, execute my cut with a small passing step forward. Again, forward, not round. Don't let it start to get wide. So court's going to do that to me. Meanwhile, what I will be doing, ox. What I will be doing is I will be just passing backward and crossing my hands. So he throws his cut, pass forward. There we go, okay? And I step back and everything's good. Let's do that again. Wonderful, okay? Now, if his sword goes away, okay, all I'm doing is I'm not cutting from here. I'm not uncrossing and firing from back here because my body is recessed. Instead, what I'm doing is I'm squaring up to him. So I'm going, to use Italian terms, from finestra to posterior. German terms, that'd be ox to Wandtag. Once I'm here, I should be able to effect a nice, efficient straight line cut to the middle of his face without needing to step. This also was a good time to practice. My hip goes from open to close to fire. That's going to be something you do a lot, in particular on your right side, so I like to hyper draw attention to it in this particular case. So let's do that again. He throws his cut. I defend. Sword goes away. Angle. Go. Nice and simple like that. And because it's your strong side, you should be able to reach pretty efficiently without needing to step. You can add to it where the court might try to skip back as I throw this cut, and then I can follow up the passing step, because that can always be tacked on top. Another thing we can do, of course, is I can return a thrust. It's the exact same idea. We'll show one just right quick. He throws cut, boom, he stays, push the thrust, return, life is fine. You could also make this infinite, as I've shown, but you've guys basically got all the pieces to figure that out now. So, all that in mind, let's do one bunny trail and then we're done. So, the bunny trail here is going to be, I'm going to hit court 3 times. I'm going to hit him with a thrust, I'm going to hit him with a left cut, I'm going to hit him with a right cut. So, to start this off, we're both left foot forward. Court's going to throw a cut down at my head. I'm going to step back and parry. I'm going to thrust, and I'm going to come back. Now what Court's going to do is we're not trying to have him influence. He tells me what to do, but he does not influence how I do it. So he's going to get that tip out of his face by shortening the short point on the blade and moving my tip off his face. He's not pushing when I'm in extension. He's pushing only the tip, which means it's up to me to cross my arms and execute my cut as I step out. The reason this matters is because what he's doing is I hit him with the thrust, and then he shows me how he defends against the thrust. If I were fencing realistically and I'm starting to thrust and he parries this way, this is telling me what to do. There are other responses, and we'll go over other bunny trails in that regard another time. But what you got to be careful about, just go to ox on the left side real quick, right? I need to make sure it's not me doing this. This is me pushing on a different part of his hands, and he should use this momentum to help him cut. That's not what I want Court working on right now. I want him just dealing with the thrust got parried so his hands are still connected to him. It's up to him to do the correct cutting motion, which we've been working on. Now, I am stepping out with this now rather than being in place because we're building upon it. It's just a simple triangle step. As soon as my cut is done, I pull back and protect myself. Here's why. So, Court throws cut, defend, offend, return. He moves my tip out of his face, angle, cut, return. Court's going to lift up above his head. He's going to look at me and he's going to basically test my guard with an afterblow. Now the way he does this is he's not cutting at my blade. My shield should be right above my skull. If it's not there, obviously I got problems, right? So if he sees this, he's a little gentler when he throws it because he knows he's going to blow through, right? But all he's doing is he's just cutting at this point and he's letting his body weight get involved. So he just kind of does one heckin' step, which should not affect me in the slightest. So I should not be buckled like this. It should just go through. And he just lets his arms relax afterwards. I've weathered the afterblow. I then just square up as we did before, And because we were close, I threw a cut as I retreated. If we were further away, then I could throw a cut as I came forward. If we were middling distance, I might throw a cut as I step out, or no step at all. That's up to me, and that's the subjective part. It's up to him to decide what kind of afterblow I feel. So here's that whole thing just gone through right quick. So he cuts, return, thrust, back, the angles, eye angle, hit, guard, the afterblows, no big deal. Hit, done. We'll switch sides, we'll show it one time. And again, that afterblow is just to get you used to receiving force. I'm not trying to build off anything from there, it's just, if my guard's in the right place, shouldn't matter. His body weight coming forward is more than enough, so he doesn't need to put a lot into this. All right, go for it. Back, stab, return. Hit, return. Hit. And life is good. Thank you very much, Warren. Thank you all very much for watching. I will talk about some more bunny trails another time, but this format really helps people get more precise in where they cut, how they cut, where they thrust, etc. And again, it's using that idea of recession, which I really want to be a bigger thing. And you can turn this into a bunch of different things as time goes on. It's like Lego pieces. Start building what you want to build. Otherwise, though, thank you all very, very much for watching. We'll go over some other techniques another time.